I wrote a column on my website this week, which you should check out. It's my NBA preview. I'm just going to briefly run through the hot teams here and tell you why I rated them. They are the champions till somebody knocks them off. And what Boston did on opening night was pretty impressive. Jason Tatum had 37 on opening night. And you got Jaylen Brown. Kristaps Porzingis will be back. He's had this calf issue. He's on the injured list. You got the bench led by the old guy, Al Horford, and Derek White, who's an outstanding shooter. I think Boston is still the champion team to beat. I think Oklahoma City is the second best team in the league. I think they're about to arrive after the rebuild. They got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who I think is a brilliant playmaker. Young guy, Jalen Williams. They got Chet Holmgren.
Yeah.
Big center out of Gonzaga. Now, a lot of people didn't pay much attention to him last year because Wembanyama came in and stole all the thunder with San Antonio. But Holmgren's a good player. And they went out in the marketplace and they got some real grit with Alex Caruso, kind of a tough guy guard who just is in your face all the time and he can shoot the three. So I think Oak City is the second best team in the league. Dallas has got a lot of age, and I'm concerned about Dallas, but Luka Doncic is back. The thing is, does this calf problem become lingering? But you got Doncic, you got another year with Kyrie Irving, who kind of played as a good teammate last season. They got Klay Thompson, who's come off all those injuries at Golden State. He's had a good camp. They got a young guy in Derek Lively. They got a young backup center in Daniel Gafford. I think there's a lot of good things in Dallas as long as Doncic stays on the floor. Phoenix has a new coach. Mike Budenholzer had success in Milwaukee, got fired. He demands defense. We saw the Suns with a big comeback performance. Almost beat the Lakers the other night in the opener, but they got Devin Booker. They got Kevin Durant. Brad Beal is finally healthy after all the years of injuries in Washington, so that bears watching. And they got a young point guard that I think is going to be better than anybody realizes, Tyus Jones. So if Budenholzer can get these guys to play legitimate defense in Phoenix, I think they'll be playing into the spring. It sounds weird to say Denver champions might only be the fifth best team in the NBA, but I'm saying it. They do have Jokic. They do have Murray. They do have Aaron Gordon. They do have Michael Porter. They did add Russell Westbrook, but they lost a guy. They lost Kentavious Pope. And he's a gritty leader, firebrand. He's gone to Orlando as a free agent. I wonder if all the miles that Jokic has put on that body finally catches up to him. And I think we're talking about injuries and miles and experience and guys getting hurt. Big question mark about Milwaukee. And you got Giannis back, but he had a lot of health issues last year. You got Damian Lillard, second year, came from Portland, but he had calf and Achilles problems. Chris Middleton is not starting the season. He's had problems with double surgeries on his ankle. They did in the offseason. Milwaukee went out and they got themselves two pretty good players, Taurean Prince, the ex-Laker, and Gary Trent, who came from Toronto. Those guys are shooters. Those guys can give them points off the bench. So the health issue in Milwaukee, I think, really needs to be paid attention to. Other ones, Lakers. I'm going to give you a comment about what I saw opening night with the Lakers. Your coach, JJ Redick, this guy's wired. He's different. I don't know if he can do this for 80 games. This guy did not sit down. This guy was chirping at all times, lecturing his players, coaching them every trip up and down the floor, barking at the referees. His timeout sales pitches were so intense. I'm just wondering if he wears himself out. How can you act like that for an entire night, 80 nights a season? And I wonder if the players get tired of lectures and players get tuned out. He's mandated the offense runs through Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis scored 36 points that first game. Sounds great in theory. Are you meaning to tell me you're going to make LeBron subjective to Anthony Davis's talent? That's an issue. What do we see with Dalton Connect? He looked a little overwhelmed with his first game, but he's had some good games in preseason, so that bears watching. And the Lakers are good until AD and LeBron gets hurt. And their history is they're good till AD and LeBron get hurt. And then the whole thing changes. So I'm not rating the Lakers inside my top 10. A lot of people think they're maybe a fifth-place team at best in the West. Philadelphia started the season with injuries. You look at Joel Embiid; he's got these problems with the knees, and now he's not started the season. And you got Paul George, and he got hurt with a calf injury. He's not with them to start the season. So Philly, they got a great young player in Tyrese Maxey. I just don't know that Philly, if those guys aren't going to be 100% for the whole season, that's an issue. Minnesota, that game I saw against the Lakers, they looked so disjointed. They looked like they got chemistry problems because they traded Karl Anthony Towns to the Knickerbockers, and they got Julius Randle, who sometimes is good and sometimes is not good. That could be a real trouble spot in the league. Love Houston's young guys. Holy cow, Jalen Green. They got a stockpile of kids, but that's it. They're kids. I don't know that they're upper echelon yet in the NBA. Old guys. You got Steph Curry. You got Draymond Green. You got Jonathan Kuminga. The rest of them are just kids. I just don't know the age factor in Golden State's going to make them upper echelon. And in Miami, you got Pat Riley's team, and they still got Jimmy Butler, but there's a whole pile of attitude issues wrapped around who's happy, who's not happy, playing time, etc. And Pat Riley, sole authority is his coach Eric Spoelstra. That thing has not been good from an emotional standpoint. There's too many mood swings. Part of the problem is Jimmy Butler and who he is and the way he plays. And when it's going great, he's great. When it's not going great, you got all kinds of problems on your bench or in your locker room. So I got Miami, yes, as an afterthought, but those, in essence, those are my top 10 to 12 teams in a league. So I threw a lot of information at you. Don't dribble the ball off your foot and don't shoot an air ball. John Riley's opinion on hoops.
Well, the thing is, you mentioned the teams, but you look at that list of the 6 logos, and then the first thing that jumps out to me is no Lakers, no Warriors, no Clippers. So it's like no California teams, right? So that was odd. But I do want to talk about the Suns. Did you watch the game last night? Suns, Clippers in the new arena, the Intuit Dome. What did you think of that?
That was electric. And the owner, he's such a great man, Steve Ballmer. He's going to have a heart attack jumping around. I mean, he was like a fan. He was just wired. But at the end of the day, you can't ask James Harden to play 39 minutes every night. At his age, no. And they just don't have enough firepower on that roster. So I think it's going to be a non-playoff team, and I don't think Kawhi Leonard is going to be a big-time contributor. I mean, he can't play. They just this week announced out indefinitely. And we talked about it on the Monday podcast. This is after months and months of rehab since last April, and he's still got problems, even after he had scar tissue scope right around the time he left the Olympic team. So I think this is a lost year, and I think that they're going to probably be in the lottery. And I just don't know how much mileage you can expect to get out of Kawhi Leonard, who's had a brilliant career, but all these surgeries, had 3 surgeries on that right knee for 3 different things, have all caught up to him.
Yeah, the team's in trouble, but that arena is cool.
Oh, it's really different.
And with that ribbon screen up, goes all the way around, and that big wall of people that they modeled after Viejas Arena in San Diego. So there's good on Ballmer, for doing it his way, putting his money into this thing, not making taxpayers pay for it. One team I'm interested in is the San Antonio Spurs. We've talked about how some of our former Aztecs have been waived on that team. But do you think Wembanyama's in a spot where he can, move up a notch or two in terms of development?
Yeah, and they added Chris Paul, the veteran guard, because they were so young. It was like coaching a rookie league team, like coaching a college team. And Popovich did a good job, and Wembanyama was beyond everybody's expectations. But I think they don't have enough bigs to really be tough enough along the baseline. But Popovich is such a great coach that I think they'll be competitive. Maybe they'll be above 500. Maybe they'll be a first-round playoff team, but not upper echelon yet. They have not delved a great deal into free agency. I think they really need to go find another warrior on that front line, a Draymond Green type persona to help buttress how good that kid is. And Wembanyama is just a great, great talent. So
yeah.
And he was one. I said last year on the podcast, must-see TV, you got to watch San Antonio game and see Wemby from France. Well, this year's must-see TV, you got to watch Memphis, not for Ja Morant, but for Zach Edey from Purdue, because everything that I've read about how he changes things defensively for Memphis just because of his reach and his footwork is far better than anybody expected, and he doesn't get into foul trouble. So Memphis's rookie center is the one you got to watch this year, kind of like we watched Wembanyama last year in San Antonio.
What about Knicks fan? Do they have anything to hope for?
They do, but this trade is kind of strange. They're getting Karl Anthony Towns, but see, they lost their center. They lost Isaiah Hartenstein, who had really grown in to be a tough guy in the paint. You're coming in the paint, you're going to get knocked down. I got 5 fouls, and I'll use them on you. And plus, he became an offensive thrust, and he became a rebounder. Hartenstein jumped. He went to Oklahoma City. That's why I got the Thunder where the Thunder are. So the Knicks are going to be good. They got Jalen Brunson, who can just light it up. I think he's one of the best guards in the league. Does not get a hell of a lot of national recognition yet, but I don't know that they have enough people. I do like Thibodeau, the coach. You will play defense for me, damn it. So I think the Knicks are fun to watch. They're going to grind. They got Spike Lee in the front row, just losing his mind every home game at the Garden. But I don't know that they have enough right now. But we'll see. We'll see if Towns becomes a force, because Towns could not play with Rudy Gobert in Minnesota. That was like oil and water. It was just a bad combo. So,
well, it was also like a big salary dump too, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, and Minnesota's ownership, and they're about to sell the franchise, but I don't think they got fair value. I mean, they got Julius Randle, who can be good some nights, but you never know, Tuesday to Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, which Julius Randle's going to show up. So that bears watching. You're an NBA fan. Feel free, got a comment on the Lakers or the Clippers or the best teams in the league, feel free to join us. This podcast